Navigating relationships now can be overwhelming, not only for you, but for others. For some, like I said, your change may be a welcome gift, but for others, your new dynamic may no longer fit. Hello, friends, and welcome back to The Free Advantage, brought to you by The Risky Path. I'm Heather Davis, and I want to invite you to join me each week as we explore self-discovery, authenticity, and the journey to recovering a life of freedom. This podcast is about sharing and exploring impactful experiences that we all share in a relatable and digestible way. And with so much information out there, it can be overwhelming to take it all in. But here, I want to give you small bites that you can take back into your week and integrate into your daily life. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining back this week as we close out September. I wanted to take a moment to just give a shout out to my daddy. I love that my episode this week airs on his birthday. He turns 69 today, and I just wanted to mention him and wish him a very happy birthday. I want him to know just how much I love and care for him. I do not get the luxury to celebrate with him this year, for we are too far apart, but he is such an important person and relationship in my life. And it reminds me that relationships, whether with family, friends, or others, carry so much weight in our stories. They hold us up, stretch us, and sometimes challenge us the most. And as we grow, they change. My dad and I have had our ups and downs throughout the years, like most of us, and he has been with me through every version along the way. And I want to talk to you about how important relationships are. When we have a good relationship in our life, we need to acknowledge them and care for them. Our relationships are what connect us to each other and the world around us. They are beautiful, messy, and complicated. But most of all, they're necessary. Our ability to have meaningful relationships is what keeps us healthy and joyful. But not all relationships, unfortunately, as I know, are not that way. Sometimes they don't always turn out to be what we wished or what we needed. Navigating relationships as we navigate our recovery can be, challenging to say the least. When we take steps and start out on our path to recovering a life of freedom and our recovery begins, the first major shift we are going to feel is in our relationships. Whether it's a spouse, our children, our parents, siblings, or our friends. When we start changing and growing, we start to show up differently. The way we used to do things may look very different, and that can be hard for those around us to understand. We might look the same, but now we are more aware, and we're less willing to settle for old patterns. So, how we communicate may be different. How we make decisions may be different. And even the way we dress may be different. But one of the biggest differences is that we are now learning how to set boundaries. And this could feel like a far cry from what others are used to seeing from us. And it can be scary and confusing for some, while exciting and welcome for others. Either way, it's a big shift. And when we shift, it means our relationships shift too. Navigating relationships now can be overwhelming, not only for you, but for others. For some, like I said, your change may be a welcome gift, but for others, your new dynamic just may no longer fit. When I set out on my own personal journey years ago, I had many changes in the relationships around me. I have lost some, gained some, reconciled some, and some still have to stay at arm's length. Sometimes our old ways of relating to others don't survive the new us. And that's a scary realization, but it's also an honest one, because not every relationship can carry us forward. Some will support us, and others will hold us back. One of the hardest parts of recovery is facing the reality that not every relationship is supportive. Some people nurture us. They hold space, cheer us on, and remind us of who we are, while others pull us back into old patterns, sometimes by their nature and sometimes intentionally. Not everyone is going to be happy for you. Not everyone is going to wish you the best in your recovery and happiness. And not everyone may even know how. Our growth can show others parts of themselves that they are not ready to see or even face. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to cut everyone out, but it does mean that we need to get honest about which relationships help us to thrive and which keep us stuck. I have had to ask myself a very hard question, like, does this person feed my freedom, or are they chaining me to my past? Because once you see which relationships feed your freedom and which ones chain you down, the next step is learning how to respond. And that's where our boundaries come in. Boundaries give us strength, but often get misunderstood as rejection or punishment. But really, they're an act of love. They create the space for us to show up authentically without losing ourselves. In recovery, learning to say no can feel unnatural at first, especially if we've been people pleasers or peacekeepers. But boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about protecting the new life that we're building and giving others the chance to meet us in that truth. I know it can feel hard, and it sometimes can feel like you just can't do it. Like for me, telling others no and setting boundaries was very difficult for me, to say the least. I myself, being a perpetual people pleaser to suit my own feelings of not being good enough or feeling insignificant, made making boundaries feel completely impossible. It was not something I enjoyed doing. But alas, I learned that even through my gritted teeth and clenched fists, that boundaries are caring for others while still caring for yourself. They help show others what is acceptable and what's not. Without boundaries, we will end up right back where we started. But with them, we give ourselves the chance to build something healthier and more true. But I want to talk about this because even with strong boundaries, there's something that we can't always avoid. The part that no one wants to talk about and nobody likes to think about. And that's loss. Not everyone can or will come with us into our new life. And though it will be okay, the grief that we feel is real. Our loss isn't also just limited to people. If you're in recovery and you're sober, where friends used to take up your weekends, you may now find yourself home alone on Saturday night. If you're in recovery financially, where you used to have a home of your own, you may now live in someone else's home in a small bedroom. Or if you're in relational recovery, where your significant other used to lie beside you in the bed, and you may now sleep alone. No matter the recovery, no matter what kind of loss, I have learned that over time to see that space as sacred. While we grieve the changes and feel the emptiness, this space is where God is making room for something new. It doesn't make our grief less real, but it reminds us that loss isn't the end of the story. When we navigate the change of our relationships in recovery, as we see the shift in the dynamics, we are opening the door to authentic connection. We are recovering our authentic selves, and who we are becoming starts to attract relationships that match our truth. People who meet us where we really are, not where we used to be. These are the relationships that feel lighter, freer, and truer. They remind us that we don't have to perform, hide, or shrink down, that we can just simply be. So if you find yourself in a season where relationships feel strained, things are shifting or even falling away, don't panic. It doesn't mean something is wrong. It means that you're growing. Recovery will always redefine our relationships. Some will deepen, some will drift, and some will end. But that's not failure. That's transformation. You are worthy of relationships that honor your freedom. And as you honor your own recovery, the right people will rise to meet you. So take inventory this week. Without shame, without judgment, just ask yourself, which relationships feed my freedom? And which ones keep me chained? Just like I celebrate my dad today, I want to remind you to celebrate the relationships in your life that honor your growth. Take a moment this week to reach out to someone who supports your freedom and let them know how much they mean to you. Because you are worth surrounding yourself with those who reflect the truth of who you are becoming. I want to thank you so much for joining me today on The Free Advantage. For more tools, support, and inspiration, please visit my website, theriskypath.com. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Your voice matters, and it helps us to get our message out to more people just like you. Let's continue our journey to freedom together. And remember, freedom is the advantage you already own. Until next time.